The panel is titled The Genius of Language, The Travel of Tamil in India. Ms. Manisha Chaudhary is an accomplished publisher and translator.
But yeah, I have the enviable task of being amongst greats who are working for the spread of Tamil. And since the session title is an umbrella title, it allows me to talk about many things. And since my primary hat is that of a publisher and somebody who's interested in translation, I hope to be exploring these themes with my fellow panelists today. So particularly because we are talking about the genius of language and the spread of Tamil, which has been hugely supported by what the the textbook, Tamil Nadu Textbook Corporation has been doing. And I think it started off with the South Indian languages, which is why I'm flanked by Sridhara and Thomas. And I'm going to talk a little bit about what their experience with this program has been. But that is just like, the beginning of the conversation, because that is a fact which is well known. If certain titles have been chosen from Tamil and have traveled to the other South Indian languages, what we would like to look at is what are the kinds of titles that you think have the potential to travel well. And in my little preparation that I did with my co-panelists in advance of the session, I found out that Malayalam has been particularly fertile in this area, where at least 15 titles, as far as I know, now 19 titles, see how it's growing quickly, even as I speak. So what is it that is about Malayalam which is facilitating this travel, so well? And I also noticed that the whole business of, that vexed word PPP, public-private partnership, I think Malayalam is clearly an example of great PPP, because there were many private publishers that you had in your list who have, picked up titles from Tamil. Right. So would you like to talk a little bit about the kinds of genres that have done, the travel more easily, and what is the reason for it?
Good morning, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here, and I thank the organizers, especially Dr. Shankara Saravanan and Ms. Mini Krishnan, for bringing me here this morning. And to your question, so over the last 4 years, we have been publishing Tamil books in Malayalam translation, mainly if you set apart the kind of eclectic selection of fiction and short story and long form. It has mainly been about the Dravidian movement, from the time of Periyar, then Dr. Kalaindra Karunanidhi's contribution, and about Justice Chandru, his works. So mainly about, what the Malayali audience is interested in, these basic revolutionary kind of
what about Gandhi?
writing. Gandhi, of course, is there. Gandhi's travels in Tamil Nadu, which has been there. And I think fiction-wise also, great names, like Ponniyin Selvan is a popular classic that has been very well received into Malayalam. DC Books published, and before the iconic movie, sequel, prequel, two-part movie came out, the book was doing very well. Very well means topping the charts even then. Now after the movie, it has been steadily going. I think several imprints have come out. And there is another one which we published last year. This is Kurinchi Malar, now Parthasarathy. Kurinchi Malar, that's also an iconic work in Tamil, which has been very well received. Again by DC Books, they published. If you permit me, later into the conversation, I can list out, and describe the books that we keep
Sure, for the
in
purposes
2024.
of the audience, it would be useful if you actually list out the kinds of titles that have traveled.
So this is the main fiction-wise, otherwise Ambais. There are Ambais stories and Tamil Dalit stories, Tamil women stories. All these have attracted great attention. And there is another one, S. Ramakrishnan's Urupashi. Then there is another title, Vekkai, which has been Pumani, which has been made into the film Asuran, And these are the kind of, also the earlier, there's a very novella, it's a classic again, it's called Vadi Vasal. That was published in the 2000, in the first batch of 5 books. Yeah, I'll give the list later on, once we are more into the conversation.
Sridhara, would you like to talk about the Kannada travel that has happened? There are 5 titles as far as I understand. And again, I think Gandhi is a common thread across the languages. And I think, again, like he mentioned, the Dravidian impulse has been also received.
I know Kannada, we have brought out 5 titles so far, and 3 more are on the pipeline. We might be able to bring them out in the next couple of months. The translations are ready, they are being edited, and maybe 2 more will be commissioned or 3 more will be commissioned this year. But anyway, the titles that have come so far, 3 of them are on Gandhi. That's because 2 books were already translated. They were in the manuscript stage. So we thought that we might suggest that. So one is about, one is an anthology of stories by different Tamil writers on Gandhi's life and ideas, which has been received very well. We have titled it as Yet Another Day, which is one of the stories says, Mattondu Ratri, which means yet another day in the life of the last few moments of Gandhi's life. And the other book was by Ms. Pavandan, who has edited a book of small life sketches of Gandhians in Tamil Nadu. Those who got under his influence and then came back to went back to their respective villages, small places, and they did excellent jobs in joining the national movement in the name of reforming the society. So we brought that out in the footsteps of Gandhi. That's the English version of that. In Kannada we call it in the Bapu Hejjegalalli, which means literally footsteps of Bapu. The third is something which is common because the TNTV itself wanted it, so we thought it would be useful. It's Gandhi's travels in Tamil Nadu, which gives a very, very detailed account of what Gandhiji, when did Gandhiji visit this place, what did he do, because the relationship between Gandhi and Tamilians go back to the South African days, and from there till almost the end of his life, he had a very intimate connection with Tamil people and life. And he surprisingly also knew how to speak this language partially. So this book gives a very, very detailed account, not missing out on even a smallest detail of how on a particular day Gandhiji spent this much money, met this man. So those who want to do research on this, they find that book extremely useful. And there are 2 other books are one is the anthology of Janaki Raman's short stories, which was well received again. Something that the Kannada, because that means we have about 2 works of fiction, short story anthologies, and 1 sketch of autobiography, 1 travelogue. And we also have brought out a very interesting book, which is now you can see there in Kannada, Kolahara Charite. The history of food. It's a very interesting book which deals with the history of the kind of food we consume every day, which we think is a part of our culture, which has been with us, but then each of the items that we eat today has traveled a long distance from different places, from Portuguese, from South America, etc. Luckily, we had a book similar to this long back published in Kannada by a very eminent Kannada writer called B.G.L. Swami, who incidentally was the principal of Presidency College in Tamil Nadu. He taught botany. Then he wrote some excellent books on his experiences as a teacher, as a botanist. And then he came out with this book that the South America in our stomach, in our belly, which means all that we eat today has traveled from so many places, they have transformed. So in a way, that book is also about a kind of translation, because the food also undergoes as it travels. It translates into different kind of cuisines and becomes a part of a new culture altogether. Something that a translation always does. That it originates in one place but travels, and the people who read it also can make it their own. So these are the 5 books we have brought out. And the 3 books that are waiting, one is Vaikam Poratam. That's about the Vaikam struggle, which is again a very detailed account of the struggle. We just brought out a small version of it, but we are editing it. It's a very big book. It's ready. Once the editing is done, we can bring it out. And the other book that we are waiting, partly approved but not fully approved, but we are waiting for that, is a short story collection of Yumiam, who is somewhere here, a very eminent Dalit writer. Even that translation is ready and then also edited, and we are waiting for the final approval. And there is also another book which we are working on called the Anthology of Pudumai Pittan Short Stories. Pudumai Pittan is not unknown to Kannada, because there are many anthologies of Tamil stories in Kannada in which Pudumai Pittan, Jaikantan, invariably they figure out. So this is an exclusive anthology of Pudumai Pittan stories. Apart from that, there are a few more which also depends on other things. We are working on them.
So I'm curious to know from both of you, how many of your translators translate directly from Tamil into your language, and how many of them go via English? Because I've come from the north, where typically we have to go via English, which is not the ideal journey, but at least it's a journey which is worth making, because otherwise I would never get to know about the genius of language of Tamil if I didn't have access to the language. So I want to know about this whole, opening up this conversation into the whole business of bilinguality, trilinguality, and the ability to think in a literary way into languages. How prevalent do you think that is now? Because I remember that in my parents' generation, it was quite common for people to be at least trilingual. But increasingly, I find that people are only functionally literate in one language, somewhat more literary in another one, and perhaps not at all in the third one. They can just about speak it at the bazaar level, which definitely affects the quality of translators that are getting readied, who are going to be taking the genius of language from one language to another. And is it the burden of the English literature students alone who are going to be carrying this, or are there more people who are going to be doing this? What is happening with the other media, for example? I mean, it's like the Tamil film industry is so rich, and there is a lot of cross-pollination. So I'm just curious to know from all of you, that when we talk about translation, apart from listing the titles, which is great, we need to think about the larger issues which are going to take language from one place to another. So what do you think about the whole business of Angrezi, as we call it in Delhi? Angrezi is there everywhere. Without Angrezi, we cannot function. But when it comes to literary translation, how does it work?
In my case, all these 19 books have been translated directly from Tamil to Malayalam. And that is, it's not extraordinary in this case, because we have so many, people who are very proficient in Tamil. Because it's like Kerala and Tamil Nadu, we are second cousins, the Tamil being the elder one, over, the Chera dynasties and the Chera Empire onwards, from Chilapadikaram we call it a Malayalam or the Chera epic, and that's how Malayalam claimed classical language status, citing the antiquity of Chilappadikaram, saying that this is our predecessor, like. So the language developed from that time. It's about 1,000 plus years ago. The ethos, the food we eat, the clothes we wear, the music we listen to, the dance, everything. This is all, very familiar or just next door. We are neighbors and we are more than that, cousins. So this kind of thing is there, and I don't think we need a linked language, for that, and that has been done quite excellently. These translations which DC Books and Madhubhumi wrote out, these are, and the others also, these are very competent, because I read through every single word that is translated. So, and it's done extremely well. Yeah. And
basically, English doesn't really play a role
in
at
this
all.
case, in English doesn't.
What
English
about-
maybe Gandhi's travels in Tamil Nadu. I think that's also checked. I think the originals, the accessing the original was difficult, but that, and also another one, that I remember, that is Ariyappadaatha Tamilagam, the unknown Tamilagam. For these two, these English texts were also consulted. Otherwise, it's all directly.
So you looked at the original and you looked at the English just
That
for
is but that's
cross-reference.
what the translators told me, that they had to depend on, because because this Gandhi's Travels in Tamil Nadu, it's a 1,262 page in Malayalam, so that to getting details, they had to do that. And Ariyappadaatha Tamilagam was available in in English, but it is also Tamil. So because this Tamil original was not available for some time, but later they got it and they put together. And except that, all the fiction works, all of them were directly done from Tamil to Malayalam.
Is it similar? Is it similar in Kannada?
It's similar. As you said, except Gandhi's Travels in Tamil Nadu, which was in English, or made available to us in English. Rest of the translations, those which have been published and those which are to be published, all have been translated directly from Tamil to Kannada. Now, it's very interesting to see a comparison between Malayalam and Kannada here. See, Kannada in a way is one of the second ancient languages, as they say. And though script-wise, Kannada and Telugu have a lot in common, because if you know Kannada script, you can manage to read Telugu script, even though we may not understand whatever that's written. But strangely, Kannada and Tamil have deeper affiliations. When it comes to vocabulary, there's a small inflection in certain consonants, like the ha in Kannada becomes pa in Tamil, like that, and the word endings, they vary. So it's very common. And then if one reads the 12th century, not 12th, say our first major classic writer called Pampa, we call him Adikavi. So if you read Pampa's Mahabharata, it's written in that old Kannada, it sounds very similar to Tamil. One can see the difference.
So does it matter then when you're translating poetry,
Yeah,
for
but
example?
still
I mean,
it
the
matters.
sound of the language.
But see, there is an interesting line about this translation, that while translation crosses the boundaries, it also reminds us of the boundary. Precisely, that it breaks the boundaries, but at the same time makes us conscious of the boundary, rebuilds perhaps
But
new
it
boundaries.
creates new land masses,
Yes, so
right, where we can all
though
travel.
Kannada, there's another interesting thing, that Kannada is one state, Karnataka is one state in south which shares its boundaries with 5 different language communities. Shares the boundary, but within Kannada itself we have Tulu, Kodava, Konkani, and there is an immense variety in the use of Kannada within Karnataka. So there was this famous saying that when Devanur Mahadeva, a well-known Dalit writer, wrote his novel in a dialect steeped in his region near Mysore, the critics from North Karnataka said that it has to be translated into Kannada first, because they could not understand a single word. But then it was received well. So the kind of translation keeps happening within Karnataka also. So we have a lot of Tulu writing which is now coming into Kannada. But the problem of bringing whether Tulu or Tamil or Malayalam remains the same. So one has to work the details, work out the syntax. It's not that, though they are culturally similar, or not similar, but very close to each other, it doesn't mean the translation makes it easy. Two more things I would like to add here. One is Kannada and Tamil has had a long relationship, which goes back to Tolpakim, what is that? And then also we have that 9th century text called Kaviraja Marga, which both deal with the same issue of language, grammar and poetics, and how to negotiate with the cosmopolitan language called Sanskrit, being local languages. So there is a wonderful book that has come out in Kannada by a very well-known historian called S.S. Shettar, called the Tamil Sangam and then Kannada, Kaviraja Marga, which is the 9th century text, which also is translated into Tamil already, anyway. And one more point that I just wanted to add as a kind of curious information, that most of our Kannada writers have come from different language backgrounds. It begins with Pampa himself, because Pampa was a Telugu writer, Telugu background person, but he wrote in Kannada. And we have 8 Gnanapith awardees in Karnataka. Out of them, 4 of them don't have, their mother tongues are different. Like Bendre has Marathi, and Girish Karnad's mother tongue is Konkani, and Masti Venkatesh Iyengar, who was a very eminent Kannada writer, is Tamilian and spoke Tamil. And then even Anantamurthy's mother tongue is Tulu, not Kannada actually. But they've all wrote in Kannada. The Tamil influence in their writing is almost negligible, zero. Or whether it is Konkani, etc. So though, for example, A.K. Ramanujan was the only person who could bridge these two because he knew these two languages well. Masti could speak Tamil, no doubt, at home, but perhaps could not write that language. So most of us in Kannada are bilingual by birth and trilingual. And of course, Tamil's presence in Karnataka is all over. Half of Bangalore is Tamilians. So Tamil films run very well sometimes. They run for more number of days than Kannada films do. So I'm sure that there are many Tamilians who would like to read books in Tamil. So we get our Tamil newspapers, Tamil magazines regularly in every bookshop. So it's not a strange language at all. But translation is a different matter. So we see there are 2 problems we face here. One is, unlike the Malayalam counterpart, our neighbors, we don't have very many translators in Kannada. And, but all the translations except this one book is directly from Tamil to Kannada. We have one excellent bridge, an ambassador between 2 languages, who is also sitting somewhere here in the selection committee, called Mr. Nallathambi, who knows both the languages, and about 3 books out of this are translated by Nallathambi. The other 2 are basically Kannada professors who are from Tamil Nadu with their background. But then I find that the other translators that we have, very few, about 3 or 4 of them who could do it, but their Kannada has to be, polished, and a lot of editing time is being taken. That's why we could not bring out these 3 books, mainly because though the translation is over as such, the editing is taking a long time.
So this brings me to another question of the whole business of, high culture and popular culture. And, the kind of titles that have been chosen, are they almost always representatives of high culture, or is there also some popular work which is traveling between the 2 languages? I'm curious to know because, the whole business of purity of language is easy to talk about when you're talking about high culture. But when you're talking about popular culture, then, you have to open up that space much more. So I just wanted to, get your views on that.
I think, Ponniyin Selvan and Kurinchi Malar, these are all popular. Really, these are not highbrow elite kind of fun. These are very popular works in Tamil. It's not very popular means it's been there for the last 50, 60 years. You know, people are still after that kind of thing. It's not the intrinsic aesthetic value. It's the popular appeal that is very much there. So that apart, you know, the Dalit women fiction, that's maybe it has an intellectual kind of curiosity of the Malayali to, you know, explore all these peculiar things that's happening around in the neighborhoods.
Yeah, what does it do to vocabulary,
Yeah,
for example?
how in poetry, we haven't published poetry because the demand for poetry, you know, it's pathetically low everywhere, you know that. Not that poetry is declining or anything, it's there very much, but the publication, you know, the publishing industry is not looking, you know, favorably towards poetry. Otherwise, there are, you know, exchanges between Tamil and Malayalam poetry.
Digital
they're
printing
very
will
much,
rescue
very
poetry
much,
publication.
Very, very active. But the other part, you know, the so-called margins, you know, when the high discourse was split into, you know, Dalit, women, all the suppressed voices. So the Malayali is curious about those things. So that is why I think, you know, Shivakami's selection of and compilation of Tamil Dalit, Tamil women's writing and, Dalit writing and R. Venila's selection of Tamil women's writing. So these were really interesting texts for the Malayali. And I think the kind of approach ideologically towards the Periyar, Karunanidhi kind of approach is again, it's, you know, the kind of politics that's going on in the South. And it has, I think the Malayali is getting curious because of the Vaikam Satyagraham, Vaikam Poratam. Even before that, you know, Periyar's ideals were very eagerly followed by the Malayali rationalists and communists. And that is the kind of revolutionary stream that is running from the early 20s at least. You know, that's been there parallelly. So Periyar is also a very exciting reading even now. And Tirukkural, you know, Tirukkural by Tiruvalluvar, you know, for 2000 plus years. So Kalekna Karunanidhi's translation, no translation, it is Vyakyanam, Tirukkural. It's a commentary and then Kuralovium, which is just published. You know, these two works are very interesting. I'm sure that this Kuralovium and the kind of very simple languages, but very pithy and illustration. It's for the teenagers, you will feel. You know, that's very interesting. So the Malayali readership, you know, there is a huge readership for Malayali readers are there really. You know, so this DC Books, they know what they're doing. You know, because they are, you know, so they have published and just now it's come out. I have brought the volume. It's a 3-volume, 1,007 pages book. I think it's going to be released today. And there's another one. Also, Karthik Ram Manoharan's study of Periyar's political atheism that's translated into Malayalam. And that's also there. So this is the kind of, if you look at them as an intellectual or elite or highbrow, it's quite different. In Kerala, these are ordinary things. It's not something special.
I mean, the distinction between popular and
popular, these are there. These two, Ponniyin Selvan and Kurinchimala, we can say they are popular works. But the others, you know, this for the general reader, it is there.
So I think to grow a readership, the fewer barriers that exist between mainstream and margins and popular and highbrow, the better it is. How much time do we have? How much time is left? 2 minutes. Okay. That's not a lot of time. Okay. Why don't you, we just give...
Because I
Sir a
completely
chance.
agree with what Mr. Thomas was saying. The situation is the same, but still, the whole idea of dividing in between classical and the popular is problematic. If popular, if we define, it depends on the definition. If we define popular as that which has not received very big critical acclaim, but
I call them popular classics.
but is very well received, well read, lot of reading public. That's one way of looking at it. The other way of popular is squarely depending on the kind of movement that emerges in a particular literary culture. So after the 80s and 90s, we see this strong social movement emerging from the Dalits and from women, and therefore they always look up to Periyar. In fact, Periyar is a very big name in Karnataka, and already we have a lot of translations done by private publishers on independent initiatives. So much so that recently, last month, Devanur Mahadeva was given the Vaikam Award, because they chose him as the first awardee by Tamil Nadu, and Kerala government jointly gave it to him. So when I gave him that book of Vaikam, so he found it extremely useful, though it wanted a lot of corrections, no doubt, because it was a first cut. But then I'm sure that that book is going to be received very well, because there are a lot of now new readership that emerges from the marginalized sections, and no matter from which language it comes from, so they are popular that way. So popular can be defined in two different ways.
Sure. Sure. Want to make a list of the Malayalam titles that have traveled.
So I'll provide a quick recapitulation of the Tamil works published in Malayalam translated in 2024 and this year, along with the previous year's publications. The latest publications in the Tamil Malayalam translation project of TNTB and ASC are the important non-fiction works such as Dr. Kalanjar Karunanidhi's Kuralovium in 3 volumes in 1,007 pages, translated by Baburaj Kalambur and published by DC Books this past week in 3 volumes. Tirukural Vyakhyanam, the Malayalam translation of Tirukural Kalanjar Ure by Shiju K. and Jayakrishnan P. had been published by the same publisher last year, 2022-23. Added to this, Karthik Ram Manoharan's Political Atheism of Periyar, translated by Shiju Sukumaran, with the title Periyar, Rashtriya Nirishwaravadathile Kuruchulla Oru Padanam, and published by Madhrubhumi Books, which has come out just this week. Last year, Madhrubhumi had published Ariyapadata Tamilagam by Tho Paramashivam, translated by S. Santhya Devi. Last year, Dravida Munnetram, a translation of Shiju K. of a collection of Periyar speeches, and another one titled Vaikam Satyagraham, a translation of Shiju K. of Para Adiyaman's Vaikam Poratam. Both by DC Books had come out. In March 2023, Malayalam Manorama Books had published Gandhiji Tamil Nadu, a 2-volume, 1,262 pages book, a translation by a team of translators comprising K. Radhakrishnan Warrior, K. Mohanlal, and Chitra Kusuman of Gandhi's Travels in Tamil Nadu by A. Ramaswamy. Ambedkar Oliyil Ennathu Thirpugal by Justice K. Chandru as Ambedkarude Prakashathil Ende Vidhi Thirpugal, translated by K. S. Subramaniam for Madhrubhumi Books, was published last year. In the area of fiction, Na Parthasarathy's iconic novel Kurinchi Malar, again in Baburaj Kalambur's translation, was published by DC Books in late 2024. Ashokamitran's novel Ghosts of Minambakam as Minambakatte Predangal is being published by Logos Books right now. Logos had also published S. Ramakrishna's novel Urupashi as Deepashi last year. Before that, they had published Poomani's novel Vekkai as Ushnam. Madhrubhumi had published Ambai's collection of stories in translation, Chuvappu Kaduthulla Oru Pacha Parava, or A Green Bird with a Red Neck last year. Tamil Dalit Kathagal, or Tamil Dalit Stories, compiled and edited by P. Shivakami, was another notable publication in 2023-24 from Madhrubhumi. Selected Stories of Imayam was published in 2022 by Olive Books. All these 6 magnificent translations mentioned now were carried out by the renowned translator Edamund Rajan. In 2022, Chi Su Chalapa's Vadivasal was published by V.C. Thomas Editions in Dr. Mini Prasad's translation. I would also like to specifically mention the name of G. Subramaniam, who translated Ponniyin Selvan for DC Books in 2 volumes in 2022, which was topped the charts ever since. Likewise, in 2022, Madhrubhumi had published Tamil Pen Kathagal or Tamil Women's Stories, compiled and edited by R. Vennila in veteran translator K.S. Venkatachalam's translation. Thus, there are 19 Tamil books published in Malayalam translation over the last 4 years.
So
Thank
that
you.
is cause for celebration. I think that calls for a round of applause. That's a really impressive list. And it really shows the kind of variety and the genius of language which is clearly traveling without too much trouble at all. So thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.